Okay, we should be live. Hello, everyone. Can I please get some kind of yes or confirmation in the chat to make sure you can hear me? Because we're going to be going through a lot today, and it's important that you can listen. So I will wait a moment. For the time being, I will make sure I've got everything else set up, which I believe I do. And yes, thank you, Laura Mateus. Appreciate it, Mr. Okay, now I'm getting a lot of people. Thank you guys very much for confirming that. We're going to get straight into this today because there's no time to lose. And I'm going to start by sharing my screen and we're going to get ready. I hope you guys are ready for this one because this is going to be a big. Okay. So, right now, business owners and marketers have the same problem, okay? Business owners and marketers have the same problem right now. And that problem stems from similar places. Business owners want more money. That's the place it stems from them. And marketers want more clients. It's a pretty obvious equation. But ultimately, really, they're facing the same problem right now. Because both are being hammered. Absolutely hammered. I mean, obliterated by a single issue today. And that is that getting new customers for a business from cold traffic sources is hard. Now, specifically, I'm talking about feed platforms here, okay? What is a feed platform? Let's define that very quickly. Well, a feed platform, you'll probably have at least 2, 3, maybe more than that on your phone right now. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, okay? Anything where you are scrolling through a feed or you have to navigate around a site and then you are shown an ad, okay? Like that's what we mean by feed platforms. So, as I'm sure you can tell, there are a lot of them. And it's always been pretty hard to get clients, to get customers, just by running ads on these kinds of platforms. It's always been a difficult thing to do because put yourself in the position you're usually in while you're scrolling Instagram or TikTok or whatever. You don't really want to be shown an ad, right? You're there to relax, to chill out, to look at the people you follow, to watch some funny videos. So the moment you get showed an ad, you're kind of like, nah, I'm going to scroll by. Okay, so it's always been kind of difficult to get customers from these platforms anyway. But it's been possible and people have done it. And I'm sure you see ads on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok every single day. But in 2026, it has been made so much harder for businesses to get customers from these cold traffic sources. Some have even said near impossible. And a key word there is cold traffic. Remember, these are people who are browsing Facebook, browsing Instagram, and they don't necessarily want to hear from your brand. They're cold to you. They might not have heard of you before. They may have had no previous engagement, but they're in your target market. They're the audience you want to reach out to. So you feel like it might be a good thing to get your ad in front of them. Unfortunately, it's always been hard and it's just got a heck of a lot harder. And I speak to brands every single day. I speak to at least 2 e-commerce brands every day, 2 new e-commerce brands every single day. And I have so many people now saying to me, Alex, we just can't get anyone. Like, it's so hard. Everything is going wrong. But what is making this so impossible in 2026? Well, it's something that you may have heard of. And if you haven't, don't worry, because we're going to explain it. But it's something called the Meta Andromeda update. Now, that sounds really fancy and it sounds flash and, that's all cool. But it's having a real impact and it's really destroying so many brands and businesses right now. It's not necessarily anyone's fault as such. It's the way Meta have decided to go. And we're going to get into why it's such a big problem, but also why it is such a big opportunity. So like what? What does that actually mean? Why is everyone losing their minds right now? Why have you maybe seen other brand owners or people in communities or marketers talk about the Andromeda update like it's such a massive thing? Well, the headline is conversions are way down at the moment, across the board, on average. The brands I speak to, their conversions have gone down. And their cost per acquisition, in other words, how much they have to spend to get someone on board, to get a customer, have gone way up. So they have far fewer people coming on board, yet they also have to pay more to get those people on board. So not only that, everyone else is finding it harder to scale. And what I mean by that is when you have an ad that you think is going to do well and you want it to get a ton of budget spent on it so you attract loads of customers, it's just, they're not doing that anymore. It's really hard to scale. These are problems, and these are problems being faced by potentially yourself if you're a brand owner, or yourself if you're a marketer, or that you have seen other brand owners and other marketers face. But before I explain exactly what Andromeda is and why it's screwed over the funnels of literally 8 million businesses, the number of businesses who are active on platforms like Meta, let's try and see it from Meta's point of view, because there's been a lot of discourse around this recently. And if you're watching this as a brand owner or as a wannabe marketer or someone who's working within a business right now, you have probably heard a lot of people get very angry at Meta. But there's something very important to understand. We don't fix a problem by just throwing our arms up at it and going, it's their fault, they're the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. Let's actually have a look at what Meta was facing and what led them to roll out the Andromeda update. And this, if you don't know what the Andromeda update is going to give you an insight into what it actually means. Well, Meta were facing two things, okay? Two things were happening. More people on more platforms. That is happening all the time. 3 billion or more people, I think it's closer to 4 billion now, people actually use Meta's apps. So Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, things like that. Billions of people, and that is increasing every single day. New feed platforms are being launched, the likes of, you had like X, Blue Sky, Threads, all these new things are coming up, and people are, diverting to other places. They're also staying on Meta platforms, but it means there are more accounts on more feed platforms. That means there are many, many, many more potential customers, essentially. So that's kind of the big problem on the one hand. The other big problem is that it is easier for anyone to produce content than ever before. That has led to a ton of AI slop, which I'm sure we are all used to seeing now on loads of different platforms. It's because of automations and it's because of bot software. People find it so much easier to crap out tons and tons and tons of content, videos, images, copy, you name it. So Meta was faced with these two realities. More people, which means more attention, more things to show, more people looking to potentially spend money online, and AI means that anyone can suddenly produce a ton of content, which also was causing the quality of the content to absolutely plummet. Because if anyone can use it, it means anyone can make something that looks kind of okay, but actually it doesn't follow any of the good rules of copy, of content, of persuasion that we know work. So these were problems they had. And the convergence of these two facts has transformed 2026 into an absolute turning point. I still kind of can't believe that we are living in a time where this has happened, and we are very lucky to be living in this time because there's something big that's happening in 2026. And if you followed me for a while and you followed Copy That for a while, we don't tend to say things like this. We do not tend to say, there's a big thing, there's a big opportunity. This is a big opportunity, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because essentially, the Andromeda update, it means, now that they've rolled this out, now they had these two facts converge, and they had to think of a solution of what to do. And that was the Andromeda update, which we'll explain in a moment. It all means that the playbook that there was for years, the old playbook, is completely broken. So much old advice is just bad now. And it's crazy because, I have been in this field for nearly a decade, and there were certain tactics and strategies people used to absolutely swear by, and all of a sudden, they just don't work. It's had that big of an impact. And ultimately, it's not hard to see why, because Meta have, approaching half the population of the planet on their system. And if your brand is relying on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok as well, obviously another provider, but wherever Meta goes, everyone else follows because they have the most sophisticated algorithm. It means that it's going to affect everyone, especially if your brand relies on Meta ads, okay? So that has left a huge, huge gap for those who know how to take advantage. And that's for both business owners and marketers. So if you're watching this and you are either a business owner, whether you rely on Meta ads or other kind of types of creative, or if you want to, and that's something you want to do, or if you're a marketer who is simply wanting to get more clients, this has left a huge opportunity, and I'm really excited about it. And there's a reason I'm excited about it. It's because it's allowing me, for example, to do things like this. The top there, that is how much I charge for these services that I'm going to be talking about and revealing in this video. That's how much I charge to fix the problems that brands have related to the Andromeda update. And then below is just a screenshot I took recently of one of the brands I work with and how much more money they are earning a week. That's $86,000, not in a year, not in a month, in a week. That's how much more they've earned because they've listened to me, which is nice to say. It's a fun thing to say. But that's why this is such a huge opportunity. We don't need to theorize and conceptualize about all this. It's in front of me, it's working, and I'm earning more money than I ever have because of this. So that's where we're at. The gap is being filled by a solution. And it's a solution which I have actually been championing for 9 years, which is why I'm very geeky about this. And the solution is creative strategy. And like, you will have heard of that term. I hope you will have heard of that term. And it's the solution. But hang on a second. Before you go, oh, great, it's creative strategy. Let's just do creative strategy. There is a very specific way you need to approach this. And there is so much bad information out there about creative strategy, especially because it's becoming more and more mainstream and more popular, and people are starting to hear the term for the first time. They are assuming things about it that are very, very wrong. So take it from someone who's been doing this for nearly a decade. I would like to tell you the right way to approach this, backed by everything I've done and what I'm currently charging. But just quickly, I just want to define creative strategy, just in case anyone watching this is a little bit hazy on what it means. And of course, you might find other people define it in slightly different ways, but ultimately it all comes down to this. On those feed platforms we were talking about earlier, ads are either in image form or in video form. Okay, that's what most ads tend to be. It's either an image or it's a video, and there might be some copy around it. That image or that video, they are what are called creative. So whenever someone says, oh, creative or that creative, they're referring to the image or the video. And that's what that means. So creative strategy is simply about ads. It's about how to plan, conceptualize, and produce those kinds of ads. That's all we mean when we talk about creative strategy. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, like, the term creative strategy has only really come into popular use in the last couple of years, really the last kind of 6 months. Before that, you know, I've been a creative strategist for 9 years. I never called myself a creative strategist. I just called it ad strategy, ad creative. I didn't say creative strategy as such, but that is the term that everyone's using for it now. And it's kind of brilliant that finally we actually have a term to label all of this, because it makes it so much easier. It's getting the respect it deserves, and it allows me to explain it to you so much more easily. And then quickly, let's just discuss, is creative strategy just a trend? Is it going to fade away? No, it isn't. And the reason, as I said earlier, the reason I don't talk about trends and I get all hyped about new things and big opportunities is because most of them are just that. They're trends and they fade away, and that's kind of that. And it's like, I don't want to put loads of time and effort into building a whole skill set around it and then no one's using it in a year's time. Plenty of like platform-based strategies go that way. So a new platform will come up for a little bit and people go, oh, you have to get on this, and then it kind of fades away, right? Creative strategy, well, let's just analyze what it is. It is creative, an image or a video, and that being shown on feed ads. Well, on feed platforms. Well, how many feed platforms are there? Well, we know billions of people are using them. And just imagine a video or an image could be literally anywhere. It doesn't matter if we are 20 years in the future and we will have chips in our heads. Ultimately, there needs to be an image, something visual there to convince someone. Creative strategy is never ever going away. It might change form slightly, as it has recently, but ultimately it's always going to be with us. So you don't need to worry about like, creative strategy is just a trend, it's going to die down. No, this is something that has been here for ages and is going to stay for ages. But because of the Andromeda update and because of the convergence of facts we spoke about, there is a period now where it is unique. And we're going to talk about why that is. So the kind of creative strategy that we're going to talk about, the kind of creative strategy that I'm going to teach you let me do that again. the kind of creative strategy that I'm going to teach you is what has allowed me to do all of this. These are the brands I've worked with. These are some of the results that I've had. I've worked for a ton of different businesses over the last 9 years. I have driven a ton of revenue, and ultimately it's all come down to this very specific kind of creative strategy that I want to show you today. Because I actually saw this Andromeda Armageddon coming. I've been telling people for 5 years to do it my way, so I am a little bit smug at the moment, and for anyone who's followed me for a while, you'll know that I'm a bit glee about this because, you know, I have been saying, guys, you've got to prepare for something like this because it's going to happen, and I was either ignored or the brands who listened to me and who became my clients, and guess what? It didn't affect them at all, and now they're doing fantastically well. So now I have people knocking down my door to work with me for that very reason, because it just made logical sense. It made sense that these things were going to happen. And that's why the world's biggest e-com founders community asked me to be their creative strategy mentor. So I'm mentoring brands who pay at least $1,000 a month minimum to just be in a community with mentors like me. I'm their creative strategy mentor. That's why they asked me there, because I predicted this and all of my campaigns and brands were doing pretty much the best in the world. It's why brands now pay me $22,000 just for a couple hours a week of my mentorship. And it's why I learn at my creative strategy system. Okay, let me do that bit again, because that did not make sense. I did not write that correctly. It's why brands now pay me $22,000 just for a couple hours a week of mentorship. And it's why they learn my creative strategy system. Okay, same reason. And it's why I've ultimately been able to generate around $300 million in revenue for e-com brands since 2017. So yeah, I've done a lot. So why did I see this coming, and what do I do differently? And why am I considered to be one of the best creative strategists in the world, which I've been called that a few times now. And, you know, my natural Englishness wants to go, no, that's not true, but it is ultimately true, and I do appreciate people saying that. But why did I see this coming, and what do I do differently? Well, firstly, I won't lie to you here. What we're going to be talking about today, I think we do have like 2 years maximum. It may be less than that. 2 years maximum to actually take advantage of what I'm about to show you. After that, it is going to become mainstream. It happens with these things. You know, we are in the point where the Andromeda update has just happened. The convergence of these facts has finally been realized, and it's affecting everyone. But right now, people have no idea what to do. You have so many people saying, oh, no, nothing's changed. It's all the same. Stick to our old strategies. You have some people scrambling around from shiny object to shiny object, just trying new things. You have some people who are trying very, very specific strategies and swearing that that is going to work, and they're just going to be blinded by that for the next year or two. And then you have a very, very, very small number of people who are actually listening to me and are doing this correctly, or have figured out like a system that works within the principles that I'm going to share with you. But I think this probably has a lifespan about 2 years. I think after that, it will become the norm and people will know kind of like how to do this. So that's why I wanted to put this presentation together really quickly to kind of say to everyone, like, okay, go and do this stuff, because it is going to be hugely, hugely beneficial, and you are going to get rewarded if you can jump on this. Until those 2 years are up, businesses are going wild, chucking money at people who know the answer. They are just constantly spending money, and they're like, I want to hire a new creative strategist. We need to hire a new agency. We need to do this. They are spending so much money because they are so scared because results have just tanked. So you either want to be a marketer who can help those businesses who are just throwing money, or if you're a brand owner, you want to make sure that your brand doesn't need to chuck money at someone, and instead you can do it in-house without having to spend a load more, which is obviously, you know, what we're going to talk about. So don't worry, you're in the right place. But it doesn't matter if you're a marketer, a freelancer, if you are a brand owner. If you listen to what I'm going to tell you, like, you should not be affected by these things. Anyway, there are two things that you have to understand in this post-Andromeda world. Firstly, brands do not know how to use AI properly, and I see this all the time. And secondly, brands still don't understand the basics of persuasion. those are your two keys to making creative strategy work. And they sound really simple, and they are really simple. There's a few nuances to how you have to work around them, but that ultimately is what matters. AI and how to use AI correctly, and understanding how to think about ads and how persuasion works. Those are the two things that you need to get right. Now, there's a system to do this. There's a way to get around all of this. But of course, you need to make sure you do this properly. And guess what? And this is the exciting bit. Meta and, other brands, other platforms, they actually reward good creative strategy. So if you can do this, not only are you getting through to more people and you're helping your metrics, but also Meta look upon you more favorably, and they're more likely to give you a boost to scale even quicker. So it's just good news all around if you can do this. Because ultimately, platforms, they don't want their users to be fed AI slop or to see the same ads again and again and again. They want users to have a good experience. That is key. Do you like seeing AI slop? Really? No, you don't. No one does. Very few people do. Or it just becomes the brain rot thing of just scroll and look, scroll and look. It doesn't actually make you act on things. So if you know how to produce good creative, so good images and good videos, quickly, originally, and supportively in relation to the good UX of platforms like Meta, you are going to win. It is as simple as that. And I've seen this time and time again, particularly recently for obvious reasons. But like we said earlier, hardly anybody knows how to do this yet. So it's all well and good, just talking about this and being conceptual and theorizing. And I see so many gurus who clearly don't know anything about creative strategy, but because it's, a thing at the moment and it's broken through to the mainstream, they're like, oh, creative strategy. And they just don't know what they're talking about. And it annoys me because it's clear they've never actually done any creative strategy, but oh well, there we go. And because nobody knows how to do this, the market is ripe for brands who do this quickly. So you can absolutely outshine your competitors if you do this very quickly. And it's ripe for marketers who can do it on brands' behalf. So those two things are very, very good news for us. And most excitingly, it's possible to do this solo, by yourself, and without any previous experience. Seriously. And again, I cannot stress how much we do not make claims at Copy That. And we typically would never say oh, it's super easy or make money or whatever. But this is one of those times where it's I say one of those times, this is the only time that I've so far experienced of it being shit, this is really good. You can do this by yourself. So it doesn't matter if you are a brand owner and you are just by yourself and you just own a brand. You can do this yourself, or you can give it to one person on your team. Or of course, if you're a marketer or a freelancer, you can do this yourself. You don't need to hire anyone else to do this. You can if you really want to, but you don't have to. And that's the beauty of it. And as I said, we don't make 10K month promises here at Copy That, nor do we make things sound overly easy. But creative strategy in 2026 is the only time I've ever been tempted to actually stake my reputation on exactly that. That is how passionate I feel about this, and not just because I'm a nerd, although it's a little bit because I'm a nerd. Anyway, if you get this right as a freelancer or as a brand, the rewards are absolutely massive. And just to kind of prove a point, for example, I have just trained a complete newbie, and she'd only been writing for 2 months. And after just 35 days of going through this, she's now working on 2 9K deals for a month's work. So those 9K deals, that's just her working for a month. And it sounds insane, but it's true. So yeah, it's crazy. So I'm very excited. Brands, and she's only getting paid for that, and brands are only trusting people to do this because brands are winning with this approach. If they weren't winning, they wouldn't trust you. That you can't bullshit your way to getting brands to pay you a ton of money because they're not going to trust you. So it's pretty crazy. Of course, as with everything, again, we never want to make it seem too overly easy. Yes, okay, you have to put a little bit of work in. You have to do some stuff, obviously. We can't just give you a magic shortcut and then that's everything done. But it is almost certainly simpler than you think it is, which is why it's so fun. So what's the secret? Let's actually talk about this. Now we know all this stuff about it, and we've seen proof that this works. What is the secret? Well, let's crack into how all of this actually works. First, we need to understand why everything broke in the first place. So we spoke about Andromeda. What is Andromeda? What actually happened? Why did things break? This isn't the kind of thing where I can just give you a solution and you go and you go, oh, okay, I know everything about it now. You actually have to understand why there was a problem. And if you understand that, you're going to be much better placed both to close clients if you're a freelancer, or as a brand to set up systems so you never have this problem again. In simple terms, it's because Meta's Andromeda update introduced something called Entity ID. And primarily, they did this to combat lazy creative strategy and to combat AI slop. So, sounds a little bit technical. What is Entity ID? Let's talk about it. First thing, and you can go and Google this, like this is now in the public domain. And it's crazy because so few people have heard about this. Some people have heard about the Andromeda update and they go like, oh yeah, I've heard that. I know vaguely what it is. You ask people to explain what the Andromeda update did specifically, no one has any clue. So it is in the public domain, but this is just more proof of why this window, this 1 or 2 years we've got, is so crucial, because no one is talking about this stuff. And in a couple of years, it's just going to be common knowledge and it's going to be how everyone is trained. But for now, you can get in with brands, or you as a brand can dominate your market very simply just by understanding this. So feel free to go and Google this. I just screenshotted an AI summary just to show that it is a real thing. Entity ID and Creative ID are distinct Meta ad identifiers. So it used to be that Meta just had the Creative ID. What does that mean? That means for any ad that you put out on the platform, they would give it a specific number. And then any other ad you put out would have another specific number, and they would all be different numbers. And that was how it worked for the longest time. So Meta, didn't have a very sophisticated algorithm, when this started, and, it wasn't fantastically sophisticated. It couldn't tell the difference between ads, really. It couldn't scan them properly. It just knew, okay, this is probably a different ad and this is a different ad because they've got different numbers. Let's put them out and see which one does best. So they had to essentially test every single kind of entity ID. Now, the thing that you have to understand is that the problem with that is if you just put out two very similar ads, then Meta doesn't know who has seen that ad and who hasn't seen that ad, and if they should show a completely different one to the person who's looking at it. So the Andromeda update introduced something called the Entity ID. Now, the Entity ID it uses an AI algorithm to scan the ad and look at how similar it is to other ads that have come before. So it now puts them into groups that are visually or conceptually similar. What that means is even if you create two different ads, if they look too similar, they're going to have the same entity ID. Now, you might kind of be sitting there and going, okay, so what does that mean? That's actually huge. And that's what's broken everything, because Meta now is essentially judging your ads before anyone sees them. So they are deciding if it's worth showing this to anyone. So they have so much more control now over if your ads are going to do well. It doesn't just go through to the viewer, to the user, and they get to decide. It now gets judged by Meta's algorithm, and then they decide where it goes. That is absolutely huge, because it means a lot of ads are not now getting a fair showing. So even if you think an ad is great, if Meta thinks, that's too similar to something we've seen before, we want to make sure users have a good experience and don't just see the same ad again, or we want to make sure that doesn't look too much like AI slop and it's going to be bad, they just won't show it. And that is why so many brands are now struggling to spend their budget. It's why conversions have plummeted. It's caused this problem. So that's the big thing. That's what you need to understand. Entity ID is where it's at. For example, the ad on the left, the ad on the right. Meta used to look at those and just go, okay, they're different ads because they've been uploaded into separate ad bits on the platform. And that was that. And then it would show them, and it might be like, oh, actually, this headline actually really does change it. But now Meta would look at those and give them the same entity ID and wouldn't even bother testing one of them, if not both of them, if they thought, it's not even very good anyway. Because the Andromeda update also gave enhanced AI checking to Meta. So it's also just judging your ads based on how good they think it's going to be for user experience. So these two ads, they would have separate creative IDs. That hasn't changed. But the thing that Meta now cares about is the entity ID, and they would have the same one. So that's the big problem. That's why Andromeda has caused all these issues. These two ads from another brand selling the same product, which is a pill, these would have different entity IDs because they are different enough from each other. Pretty obvious why you can tell these are different enough. One, of course, is like a UGC themed ad. One is a this versus kind of theme ad. So Meta would look at that and go, yep, those are different entity IDs. Okay, now let's put that out into the world. So that's the basic idea of what entity ID means and how different you now have to be to get past that part of the Andromeda update. Of course, there's so much more to it than that. There is some nuance there, and you need to know what to change and when to change it and how to change it. But ultimately, that's what's causing the problem. So that's why. So if you don't understand that, like nice and simple, really good. But so many brands and so many other gurus, they stop there. Okay, they just go, oh, it's entity ID, it's creative ID, boom, just do it differently. And no, that's wrong. Yeah, okay. Some people in the know, they understand that entity ID is a thing and it's just happened. But how you go about fixing that is a huge deal. You cannot just say, oh, I'm going to like crap out two very different ads now and that's fine. You have to know the specifics of what you're producing. And this is what I see hardly any gurus talking about. And it annoys me because so many people go like, yeah, I know about entity ID. Don't worry about it. And then they don't know what the hell to do. Remember, this all comes down to the fact that platforms want you to run ads. They want you to put ads on their platform because they earn more money from it. So they want your ads to be successful because you will then run more. So even though Meta and similar platforms are being harsher with judging things, they still want you to put your ads up. The Andromeda update was basically Meta saying, you guys have become lazy, work harder. But thankfully, my system means you can actually please ad platforms without working harder. You just need to work smarter. And again, this is the thing that most people are leaving out. They're saying, oh, entity ID, or this is the problem, and they stop there. It's like, brilliant. Well, now I just have loads more work to do because I have to produce very, very different kinds of ads. It's like, no, don't worry. There is an easier way of doing it. And this all comes back to the human side of things. You know, when in doubt, go back to the basics, go back to simplicity. Imagine, for example, that you see the same ad again and again. You get tired of it. It becomes annoying, okay? But if you see different ads making different points, even about the same products, that's, well, different. It becomes different and it becomes new. And as you should know, if you're watching this channel, copywriting and persuasion is all about new, something that they haven't seen before, something you're introducing to their life to fix a problem. So we already associate new with good things. We don't just want to see the same ads again and again. We want it to be new. So that is one part of it. But of course, we also have to remember the AI slot point and the user experience point. We don't just want people to just see different things. We want them to see things that actually they enjoy seeing, they find useful, they find good, they have a good experience with. And that's where so much of the fixing comes into it. Essentially, Meta have raised the standard. It's no longer enough to just tell your ad account to put your offer in front of people. Every placement is now a fierce competition for attention. Every time you put an ad up, you have to be putting almost like the best possible ad you can think of up and do it different enough from what you've done before, because not only is the difference a key with the entity IDs, but also people's response to AI generated crap, to stuff they've seen in other places before from other brands, and things they don't find useful. So all these things are so important to get right with creative strategy. And Meta are rewarding the brands who do certain things right. Remember that, like they are rewarding you. So there's a reason beyond just, you know, getting a few more conversions. Meta ultimately see you as a brand who's read their stuff. You know, they put out, you know, not guides, but they put out guidelines for this kind of stuff, and they put out like updates. And most people don't read them, but you should, because they ultimately want you to follow those so you get rewarded. Okay, so offers won't cut it. Copy alone won't cut it, and hacking the algorithm just doesn't work anymore either, because like we said, Meta's too smart. You can't just put your ads into a certain structure in a Facebook ad account, like campaigns, ad sets, ads in slightly different ways, because ultimately they already have a checking process. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to do to hack or get around it. They will look at the creative and judge how good it is. Only playing by the world's new rules will get the results that you want, with a dash of cunning, of course, which is, you know, where the next big part comes in, because we have to understand like what to do. So creative strategy is the new missing link for generating results. So if you know the correct way to think about ads and how to use AI properly, well, then you are all set to begin. And all of this, all these problems, and it's so important for us to diagnose the problems first and to have a proper understanding of this. If we just go into this with the solutions first, we are damned to repeat ourselves by not getting what annoyed the platforms in the first place. So all of this is why the most frequently asked question that I've had from brands in the past few months is, do you know a good creative strategist, or can you help me with creative strategy? So if you're a brand or you're a marketer and you aren't thinking about creative strategy yet, it is absolutely time to, because it's what is top of mind for everyone else. Okay. So essentially, like, this is, everything we've been through so far is the start. This is like how to understand all of this, how to think about it, really making sure we understand it from the meta's point of view and the problems that essentially have come from this new update. But how is it possible that my system is simple and effective? Because we've been through the problems and we've been through, like, ultimately what we should be looking at now. But, it can seem simple when you look at those problems, and it can seem like, it's pretty easy to understand all that. So why is it so effective? Surely there are some easy fixes here. How are they, like, absolutely changing the game, and why are so many brands getting it wrong, and why are all these results plummeting when some brands are doing it really well when they're sticking to a certain system? How can it be simple and effective? Well, it all comes down to something that no one else is doing yet, and I see very, very little of. So by now, I'm sure you understand how big the opportunity is and why I've earned so much with creative strategy. Should be pretty clear. And you have seen that the problems, you understand what the problems are, you know why everyone is desperate to fix them, you know what's at stake, and why creative strategy is the answer. But what's actually in the new playbook to make things work? We've been talking about why the old thing doesn't work anymore. We know the problems. How do we actually move this into the new world? So, 2 points. It's all in these 2 points: how to think about ads, how to use AI to produce those ads. I have been doing this for nearly a decade, and the number of people who get too far into really specific tactics, or they get so worked up on a specific strategy, or they talk about hacks and they talk about, here's the only way you can do this. It's all BS. The reason I'm taking you through this step by step and breaking this down so simply is because what really matters is you come back to the simple things, because that is what is working. There is not a super secret immediate hack. There is just good sense and making sure that you have checks in place so you are not straying off of the path. And broken down within those larger aims, those 2 aims of how to think about ads and how to use AI to produce them, there are a series of very simple skills you need to make creative strategy work. So what are the skills? These are, and I've summed these up essentially into 7 must-have skills that you need, right? Persuasive copywriting. Now, if you're watching this channel, if you know me, you'll know why copywriting is good. It is essentially the lifeblood of persuasion. You can't communicate something without words, or very, very rarely can you communicate something with some level of words. And of course, by writing things down persuasively in the first instance, you are able to then extract a visual from that to represent those words, which is what creative strategy is all about. So how you actually apply words to a creative and how you use those words to think of a creative, really important. So getting good at copywriting, definitely up there. Understanding visual hierarchy is another big thing. There are a few simple rules to visual hierarchy, and 2 of the best ones whom I picked up from one of our fantastic designers, Kaylee, who really helped to kind of hammer this home for us, is size. First of all, like, if you want to make a big point in your creative, whether that be on video or on an image, the best thing you can do is make that thing bigger, make that text bigger, make that asset bigger. Sounds simple, but, like, I bet you are not doing it as much as you should be right now. If there's one big point you want to get across, you need to make that thing bigger. Second point is contrast. How do you show something that's contrasting? Is it contrasting in size? One thing big, one thing small? Is it contrasting in color? Do those colors clash with each other so it's easy to see what is happening on the ad, on the creative? So that's really important as well. sticking to the rule of one. If you're not familiar with the rule of one, it essentially means you need to make sure you're focusing on one idea, one offer, one reader, first of all, one reader, one idea, one offer, and one action in your ad, in the thing that you are producing. That's really important because I see so many, and this was the case before the Andromeda update, and people are actually doing this now to try and fix it, which is crazy to me. They are trying to make ads more diverse within the ad itself, and they're trying to make more and more points and have more and more text and have more and more assets, and they're overcrowding things. You need to strip that all back. You need to focus on one thing. The best, most powerful ads, particularly post Andromeda, because remember, they want people to have a good user experience. They don't want people to be looking in on their phones and zooming in and trying to work out all this stuff. They want people to be able to easily read something and then decide if they want to engage with it. The rule of one. Make sure you're focusing on one idea. You're just talking to one person, and you are making sure that you have the offer in mind, and it's very clear what to do next, which of course in ads is pretty clear anyway. We go through all of the now. Obviously, you're on the Copy That channel. We're at heart a copywriting channel, so we go through the rule of one, RIOA, and persuasive copywriting on this channel a lot, of course. Prioritizing entity ID changes. Now, this is what I see, most gurus talk about. They just go on and on about entity ID. And yes, it's very, very important to understand, which is why I spent a while talking about it. But you have to make sure you're actually prioritizing those changes. Before, you have a limited amount of time to produce things. Either you or your team, you can only do so many things in a week, in a month. And you might feel the urge to go, we've made this one ad. We'll just do a couple of variations of it. We'll just do 5 variations of it, just change a few things here and there, and that'll be fine because that's easy. You have to stop yourself from doing that. You have to lean into your better judgment and instead prioritize the time that it would take to do that, to instead create something that would fall into a new entity ID. Okay, try something new, which comes into the next point. You have to try new things you haven't tried before, not just swiping from other brands, not just having a look at what other people are doing and copying it. You have to try and be original. Now, of course, we also have a ton of videos and things on that, but trying new things is really, really important there, being original and making sure that you have something in mind that you want to test. Next, helping users have a good experience. This is a really easy test that you can run as a creative strategist. Look at your ad and imagine if you had come across that, would you find it either useful? Would you find it unique? Or would it essentially bleed into the experience you're already having, so you feel better about Meta as a platform, about Facebook or about Instagram? Is it something that you've actually enjoyed engaging with? And a mistake people make around here is that they focus too much on entertainment, and they think, we just need to make people laugh, and that's going to be, that's going to lead to good experience. The problem with just making people laugh is you focus too much on the comedy aspect and making people laugh, as opposed to the point you're trying to get across, which of course detracts from those other rules that we have above, the other 6 rules that we're talking about. So when it comes to having a good experience, is it useful? Yes. Is it unique? Yes. Think about those 2 things, because ultimately we want to give people a good experience in that way. But also, do they feel like it's part of the platform and it's an easy thing for them to interact with on the platform, as opposed to something so completely out of step with Meta's principles? A simple one for this is don't make people feel bad. And it sounds kind of weird to say that, but if you are relying on shock ads, shock visuals, and making people feel horrible about their problems, that's something Meta is looking at now post Andromeda and going, they've always had those rules, but now they're looking at them because their algorithm can scan it far more efficiently and saying, we don't want that on our platform. We only want users to have good experience. And then finally, being clear and simple in execution. What do I mean by that? So being clear and simple is when you have a point to make it in as few words as you can. So as long as you still get the point across, use words that people understand easily. You don't have to spend time on long words. And I see, because we're talking about visuals here and we're talking about creative, so many people, and I see this advice all the time from gurus and it really annoys me. So many people, they saw the Andromeda update and they kind of thought right, this is a chance for us to double down on our branding and to make sure our brand assets are really good, and we've got nice waves and patterns and things here and there on these ads. Don't do that. a lot of people are saying like, oh, that's the key now, is to make things kind of complex and look really cool and make sure we're really unique as a brand. It's the opposite of that in the experience we've had in the last 6 months. Being simple in the ads you're producing, making sure there are as few kind of colors on the ad as possible. I don't mean like just one color, like monochrome, or just 2 colors. I mean like if you have a really complex background for the sake of it because it's for your brand, drop that. Tends to be better to, again, focus on the specific assets being relevant or being different in and of themselves, not just your brand being there for the sake of it. So making sure you're nice, you're being clear, and you're being really simple in how you're executing things. So those are like the things that I have, the things that I've kind of gone through, those 7 things based on, like I've tested 50,000 ads in the last 9 years. Those are the things, really, really simple things that you come back to every single time. Okay. And if you're currently trying to listen to the really advanced like techniques way further down the road without understanding any of this, then you're doing this completely wrong. You need to understand these simple principles first of all, and you need to make sure you understand what the problem was before you move on in any way. Okay. Remember, like this is creative strategy 101. This is a starting place for you to understand actually what is going on with creative strategy now and just demystifying things so you're not having these videos come up going like, oh, here's the thing that's really important and here's the thing you need to know. It's like, no. There are a few things you need to know. There are a few principles you have to get right. And what we've just gone through there, those are the 7 principles of a good ad in the modern day. And these are skills you can pick up easily. All right. And that's what I want to communicate, in this class, first and foremost, is like, these are skills that you can go and you can pick up from free content that's out there, from the Copy That channel, from other, creators who are doing fantastic stuff. As long as you're kind of sticking within these guidelines, you can go and learn how to do this from other places simply by Googling or YouTubing this stuff. So that's really, really that's really nice, and that's simple and it's easy. But of course, now we've kind of gone through the 101 things, like you probably want to know specifics. You probably want like the specific, okay, Alex, I understand the problems. I understand what the Andromeda update was. I understand, like, broadly speaking, what I'm trying to do for people. I understand the 7 general principles of good ads and what to do and how to make things clear. But you probably want to know specifics. You probably want to know crucial steps. Steps like, within the how to think about ads category, understanding the creative pyramid and how not to overwork. Very, very important, because of course, if you're thinking about doing this solo, you need to make sure you're not overdoing things. Mastering the 4 plug and play stages of ad creation, again, even by yourself, making sure that you understand exactly where this is going. Getting to grips with the 3 variables of ad success, which I love, can't wait to talk about that. And why you can't have a successful ad without this truly clicking. It's really important that you understand like that in particular, because if you just take that away, you then know how to go and create individual ads that can do well. And coming back to that other point, how to use AI, knowing what software to use and what software to avoid at all costs. And believe me, there are a few. You need to know how to use the golden rules of auto prompting, which saves me and my team dozens of hours, because obviously we've got an agency doing this and doing this for multiple clients. And introducing the idea of batch production to everything that you do. And this is a lifesaver, making sure that you understand how to save time in actually producing these things. Now, again, of course, like when you're kind of looking at different things and when you're talking to different brand owners, he might be sitting there saying like, oh, this, there's a lot of stuff we need to do here. We've got designers, we've got editors, we've got creative strategists, we've got copywriters. But with these things, just with these 6 things, and of course there's more and there's more nuanced things, but you can come in and you can basically replace so much of that. And I did some calculations, and the most that we've actually saved a brand from doing all of this is $18,000 a month in them outsourcing to agencies, which when you top that up, I think ends up at somewhere like $200 and something thousand a year. So brands can save as much as $200,000 a year, of course, depending on the size, but regardless, you can save so much money. Forget like what the results even end up doing. As long as you maintain the results that you had before, you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars just by understanding these 6 more kind of nuanced points, as well as the principles we spoke about before. Of course, like these are all things that I want to talk about. And I'm sure as you can kind of start to see, there's a lot to this. And it's going to take longer than just a single live stream to go through everything, because even though, I wanted to get the 101 points out of the way and get some simple ideas out there, you need to know how to do this. And how to do this, it does take some training. So I have some good and free news for you. So that's the first thing. This is free, everything I'm about to say. I would like to teach you all the things that you need to know all in one place, without charging you for it, as we like to do here. So what we are doing is myself and the Copy That team have put together a free 4-day training program for you, ending with a huge live event online on March 25th at 2 p.m. EST. When we started doing this, and I was like, I want to do a creative strategy thing, guys. I want to do some training. I want to get it out there. The idea was to have it in one webinar, in one live stream. And I soon transpired that there's way too much to go through, because I would literally be sat here or stood here for like 6 hours going through all of this stuff. So how we're treating this is we wanted this one to be the 101, the introduction, just so you understand what's going on, what the problems are, the things that brands have to face at the moment, and knowing where to begin. But outside of this, we want to put together completely free training for you, all about how to actually take advantage of creative strategy. And we're going to call the free live event on the 25th of March the Creative Strategist Launchpad, because whether you are a brand owner and you want to do this yourself, or you're working in a business, or you're a freelancer and you want to take advantage of all this creative strategy stuff happening at the moment and this big change, this convergence point, that's what we want you to be able to do. We want you to be able to launch into your career or into your new, your new way of working. So it's going to be big. It's going to be a lot. We're going to go through a hell of a lot. As you can tell, I've tried to keep this one relatively, like on the surface, just to break down some very simple things for you and give you a few like takeaways you can go and start using right now. But ultimately, to get good at this, I need to teach you some more stuff. And it's all pretty simple, but there is a lot of it, and you need to know how it interplays with each other. So at that live event, which you can attend from any device, you haven't got to go anywhere. It's not in person. We're making it as accessible as possible. I'm going to reveal the 3 biggest secrets that you need to make creative strategy work. The things that I have, I have realized that we're going to go quite nuanced and more in depth on those things. And they're secrets I've only actually ever shared in a $1,000 a month community, where I train e-commerce brands. So these are things that, we're sharing for the first time, because it is this point where we want people to start taking advantage of this, and of course to reward our fantastic community, and just because it's a fun thing to do, and we're getting a bit sick of like all the people saying there's a very specific way to do things. There are specific ways to do things, but the ways in which they are trying to share these advanced techniques are just absolute rubbish. So we want to set the record straight. The 4-day program is going to start on March 22nd with lessons that are going to be emailed to you over the 3 following days. So we're going to give you some kind of like pre-lessons first of all. We're going to kind of like make sure that you have stuff reiterated from here, so you come into the live event knowing everything you need to. Going to go into a few other bits as well. So you can get 3 days of lessons, super simple, really easy. No like massive like homework or anything like that. Nothing that you have to be like insanely attentive for. And then you'll get your invite to the free live event, the Creative Strategist Launchpad, on March 25th. And that is where we are going to be going into a lot more detail and leaving you with a very, very practical, action-packed, step-by-step advice for how to go and make this a reality, both in your own business or as a freelancer. So sign up to get 3 days of pre-event training and to grab your ticket for the live event, all completely free. Just click the link in the description. Should be in the YouTube description box below. So make sure you click that link. And yeah, I can't wait to get into it because you can probably tell I have a lot to say about this. And believe me, just focusing this one on like 101 stuff was torture. But at the same time, I've been doing this for 9 years. Most of you guys have probably only just been introduced to this or you've never heard about it before. So didn't want to go too deep into saying, here's all this really advanced stuff. Need to set the foundation, which we've done today, and we will do in the 3 days before the Creative Strategist Launchpad event. So that is what I'm talking about. And that's me done. And we will do, for you guys who are here live, I want to do a bit of a Q&A as well. Oh, there's 185 of you. That's quite a lot. So let's do some Q&A if anyone wants to ask anything. I haven't actually had the chat up, so I need to bring that back up. And I think we are good. So yeah, there we go. What questions do we have? God, I need to come up. Oh, that's a good question. Hang on. You said creative strategy has a lifespan of 2 years. Even if you've been championing for the last 9, what will you do? That's a good question, and allow me to clarify that, because that's bad copywriting on my part, because that is not what I meant. What I mean is this current convergence of these 2 points, where you're going to be able to position yourself as an authority, that's only going to last for like 1 or 2 years. So like creative strategy is still going to be a thing. It's just everyone else is going to kind of know like what to do. So creative strategists are still going to be a thing long into the future. It's just that this current situation we find ourselves in, this is only going to last a year or two. And it's purely because things take ages to move. For brands to actually adopt new ways of doing things, it takes a while. So I'm just trying to share as much as I know now so you can go and take advantage of that, like we did with the mega course and loads of other stuff. Can you guys ban him like forever? I don't know if that means me. Is it really free? Yep, it's free. It is free. Like we are going to be giving a whole action-packed piece of like knowledge. It's free. You know us by now. To be fair, if you're new, I guess you don't know us, so fair enough. But like, if you know us, yes, it's free. You just literally just sign up and do the email, and that's because we need to drip feed you the lessons. So looking forward to that. So copy that is using AI prompts to create ad scripts for creative strategy. It's a mix. Like ad scripts for creative strategy very much depends how in depth you're going. The best scripts are still human written, and they always will be, because like you have to come up with novel concepts. So especially with like longer styles, like the expose style, every single one we've run with that's been AI has been crap, and humans win every time. But AI can be used for so much. Like if you're doing this by yourself as a solo business owner or a wannabe creative strategist, you need to use AI to just be able to keep up with the stuff that you need that you can't do yourself. Design, for example, video elements, narration. You just need to do that shit. How's it feel to be the best, Alex? Thanks. I definitely would not necessarily call myself the best. I was quoting others. But, and Sean's going to get mad at me for this because I said I'd be more American, but like, okay, I'm the best. Yeah, sure. I'm the best. Yes, it feels good. What else have we got? Okay, thanks, Aaron. Literally, yourself. Is it really free? Are you selling something off the launchpad? The training itself is 100% free. We might sell something off the launchpad. Like again, we have our inner circle, for example, where people who want to kind of do this, like they, who are the most kind of advanced, and they want to like have complete mentorship with us. We have that. So like, we're not opposed to selling things if people are going to find that useful. We'll take some advice on that from people, like as we go through this stuff, but the training itself, it's its own thing. It's just a whole action, step-by-step piece of advice. We're just giving it to you. So it's free. Any prediction after 2 years? I just think that we're going to get to a point where, AI is going to be better at like systemizing, because people will have fed it systems. So it's still going to be a very lucrative job in a couple of years, but I just think like, brands aren't going to be paying like top dollar to as many people as they're prepared to right now, because nothing is working right now apart from, a couple of systems. So it's still going to be a thing. And, you just, that's for me is where like building an agency is useful, because you can then charge money for each client you have, and you can take that money off the top. So, how do we find clients? We have so many videos about how to find clients. Please go and watch the mega course if you haven't already. If anyone hasn't seen, we just updated the mega course for 2026 in a playlist. So if you go to the YouTube channel and click on playlists, I'm assuming, there's a 2026 mega course playlist where we've split it out all into separate videos, so it's easy to keep track of. We've also added quite a few videos in there as well, just to keep things updated and to give you some more advice. So please go there. Let's be covered in the growth lab too. No, well, like kind of like to a degree. The growth lab is going to be more about like just my general stuff. like that I'm doing at the moment. Like this creative strategy like system is a whole other, you know, thing that needs specific training. So we're doing it there first. But again, it's free, so you might as well just go. Should a copywriter who's just starting out focus on this as well to gain more value? Yeah, I think so. I really do think so. And like I think that copy, again, copy is the lifeblood of persuasion. It is, but creative strategy is just a way to enhance copywriting and to give a visual element to it. So if you can understand how to do this as well as copywriting, you just immediately make yourself more valuable. If I was starting again today, I definitely would. How will AI affect marketing businesses in the future? That's a very big question. I think that marketing businesses are still going to be needed. Agencies are still going to be needed. It's just there's probably going to be fewer of them because they're going to take on more clients. The way I'm building my agency, for example, is making sure we can do the job of like 100 people with like 10 people. We'll be able to work with big brands as beginners in this. I can't say yes or no. Like, for example, like I know people who were beginners and are now working with big brands. I can't say if you're going to because I don't know you. I don't know what your work ethic is going to be like. I don't know what your approach is going to be like, but it's possible and it's been done. So hopefully that makes sense. Is this event will be beneficial for beginners or we need some previous knowledge? It will be beneficial for beginners, like, but you know, I would say there's no harm attending because you might as well just take notes and you can always refer back to it later. It would help if you come to the event with a little bit of copy knowledge, you know, but ultimately that's also why we're sending the training beforehand around creative strategy, just so you have the context. Are the old resources still valuable? Yeah, definitely. It depends what old resources you're talking about, but there are definitely old resources that are valuable. This kind of goes back to the question, will AI replace copywriters? Again, our opinion hasn't changed on that. AI is going to replace C-grade copywriters. It is. Like, you know, copy that's easy to do or it gets iterated on, yeah, they're going to get replaced. But the best copywriters, the ones who have to come up with novel concepts or who are combining it with creative strategy or writing really long form sales letters, AI just has not been able to produce that stuff well. I don't know if it's ever going to be able to just because of the nature of how LLMs work. You're already automating workflows and copy that. Yeah, I mean, copy that, like, again, copy that, as we've said, like has been a side business for a long time. So we are now starting to automate stuff. Yes. But in our own agencies, absolutely. Like we automate workflows for statics, video production, everything. Go and watch the mega course is my advice to you. Will it be recorded? I will be working those days. If you sign up, yeah, I want to say yes. I actually don't know. I should know that. I'm going to say maybe. I would attend if you can, but like there might be a replay, but also don't listen to me. Sean is the one to answer that. I don't know if Aaron or Sean can comment down below. Instead of learning copywriting, should one move straight into creative strategy? You have to learn copywriting. Copywriting is part of creative strategy. That is why in the 7 principles I went through, the first one was persuasive copywriting. So you didn't listen. Don't worry. I'm not actually like annoyed at you, but yes, you should learn copywriting because it forms a core part of all of this. Will you go through how to come up with attention-grabbing visual ideas, like directing a video alongside the copy? Yeah. Yes, we will. Just to add on to your question, I mean, good copy and creativity is something intemporal. Jesus, I had to slow down to read that word. And always on demand, even if you're not an authority, right? Like, yeah. Like, good copy is always going to be needed, but like, you know, getting a job as a copywriter, if you're saying, hey, I'm a copywriter, that's going to be a lot harder to get a job. Whereas if you're coming saying, hey, I can get you more sales by running your Google ads for you or like redoing this part of your website to make it more, you know, valuable, then they go, oh, okay, cool. So yes, good copy and creativity are going to be always in demand, but only if you frame them in the right way. Will you address specific AI tools that can be used to make consistent creatives? I've noticed with a lot of them, at first they're good, but then they break down and it's hard to get good results. Yeah, we'll definitely go through my favorite ones. I've seen some creative strategy openings, and even though there's a shortage, brands already require years experience. What should we do? Again, like this is where you just need to combine it with what's in the mega course. Like what's in the mega course about outreach as a copywriter applies to outreach as a creative strategist. So just go and watch those videos. Same thing. We have a whole section about how to get around not having experience. How do you approach copywriting practice in the picture? Just do it as if AI wasn't in the picture. Guys, you need to understand good copy. You need to understand it in your own head, because when you're a creative strategist or you're a brand owner or whatever, you need to be able to explain your ideas quickly and naturally to the brand, or to your team. And that only you don't have AI there all the time to kind of do it. And then you don't know if it's reliable. You have to learn this stuff yourself to then be able to have your own critical faculties to then assess things. Okay. I've completed the mega course. Any advice for me regarding copyright and creative strategy? Just follow what we said in the mega course. Literally, like if you've completed the mega course, you should have been following along with it, which means you have a portfolio and you've started to outreach, and you have this now free thing to learn creative strategy if you'd like to. Is creative strategy the same as social media manager at some points? Some brands kind of combine the role. I have seen that. So it's something else you can kind of offer alongside it, but they are different. Social media managers obviously do organic posting. Creative strategists tend to focus on PPC, but you know, it depends. Link, there is a link in the description. So please click that and sign up. And thank you, Tahar, for saying that. And thank you, Paula. You said the live stream will be the part of a large program. What program will that be? No, the program is just the 4 days. I mean, this is just my poor copywriting coming to the fore. I was making this more an excitement and quickly rather than to be a good copywriter. There are 4 pieces of training. There are 3 pre-event training things that will get emailed to you. There are 3 lessons you'll get emailed from the 22nd of March. So 22nd, 23rd, 24th, you'll get those 3 lessons emailed to you. And then the 4th part is the live event, is the Creative Strategist Launchpad. And that's where we're going to be going live. Training is enough for a head start though. Yeah, definitely. Like, guys, like regardless of whether you if we sell anything after this, regardless of whether there's a boot camp or the inner circle or whatever, like we're always going to have things to sell because we're a business and we need to make money. But we're always so clear that as a beginner, we give away the training for you to then go and do it yourself. And that's all you need. So yes, the training, even today's training, you don't even need to sign up. You should, because I'm getting into a lot more, but like the whole thing of today's training was to go through those 7 things so you can at least go, I have a checklist now of doing this stuff. But of course it was more around like, you know, making sure that you understood the problems as well. If you can't find a client after 7 years, should you give up? Either that or change what you're doing. But like I would say if it's really been 7 years, potentially getting clients just is not your strong suit, and you need to work with someone else who can either get clients for you or start your own business or go through a more traditional, you know, like 9 to 5, more introverted route, which there's nothing wrong with that. A client's going to pay us for using different AI platform for creating ad creators. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. If you could rephrase that, like you get paid for, like, I don't quite, if you could rephrase that, because I don't quite understand what you mean. What would be in the advanced part of the creative strategy? Lol, I'm planning now to buy. You don't need to buy anything, right? Okay, we're doing this training so you can go away and do stuff. If we do training, if we do like a back end to this, you know, like if we sell something, it's going to be like the specific, as we always do, whenever we sell something, it is either mega, or it's either free, like the mega course. It's either hyper cheap. So, you know, like the CCC, which you know, we're going to like change at some point. You know, under $100, like, okay, just buy that and that's loads of great shit. Or it's like pretty damn expensive. There's an investment here and it's more for people who can afford that or who are brand owners, for example, or we're selling to other businesses. So you don't need to save to buy anything. You can just follow the free stuff that we put out. Okay. And that's how we've been since the beginning. So yes, we need to offer stuff to pay for things as a business, but ultimately the stuff we give away for free, you can go and do yourself now. How exactly does the live event work? It's a live stream. Yes, live stream. It's not going to be pre-recorded. It is a live stream. I will be there. And we might do a Q&A as well. Again, I'm making promises I'm not sure I can keep, but we'll do some kind of Q&A. What if you can't wait until March? Can we get the content now? I mean, it is March, first of all. And second of all, like, no, we need to make this. You know, the reason we've given ourselves a couple weeks, I need to make all this shit. I've already got it all planned out. I know what we're doing, but I need to now buckle down and be like, okay, make this as good as humanly possible for stuff. So we can't speed this along. I want to make sure it's as good as it can be for you guys. When I subscribe to the CT Premium Patreon tier, do I get all of the videos and information on the Black Friday bundle? No, you do not. The Patreon, there is just a select number of videos in there from like old resources. It's the same as the YouTube membership. And then the Black Friday bundle was a one-time specific offer that has expired. Is the 3-day training live? The first 3 days are just email lessons that are just sent to you. Those will be pre-recorded. The webinar at the end will be live. That's the Launchpad event. What is a correct approach to learning? What is the work ethic required for this field? Differs from person to person. You know, make sure you work hard. That's all I can say, really. It will be recorded. I don't know how we are going to make that accessible necessarily, because also you're going to need to make sure you have the context of the stuff we've sent beforehand. So as long as you're on the list, as long as you have signed up in the description, we will give you this information. We'll tell you all these things. Alex, will you guys drop an ecom marketing focused course? I want to work for ecom brands. Lucy persuaded me. I'm going to say yes, we will. Like, again, the most recent video we had on the channel is about how copy that is evolving, and of course, like we just need to sell more stuff to survive. But as I said, we're never gonna be the scammy beginner focused gurus. So like we probably will work on an ecom course for the people who are really interested in it at some point. But I'm gonna make that hyper good if and when we make that, because obviously it's a very big passion of mine. Is being a creative strategist the same as being a marketing strategist, or is creative strategy more niche? Creative strategy is more niche. It's just focused on ad creative. Will clients reject the ad scripts if it's taken from AI? Depends how good the ad script is. Depends on the client. There's not a blanket term for that. Do you need to know how to run a meta ad campaign before this? No, you do not. That's the kind of stuff which, again, you can learn really easily as well. You can literally watch a half-an-hour YouTube video and understand how to run meta ads in the modern day. So you don't need to worry about that. You guys are great with so much free value, providing space. Everyone, thank you. We try our best. You know, we know we're having to sell more stuff now, but like we still... Remember, the reason we're selling more stuff is to justify making more free stuff for the people who can't afford the paid stuff. So how to join the inner circle? The inner circle is like not necessarily for like beginners. It's not for people who can't afford it. It's like, shit, I always forget how much it is, like $1,000, $1,500 a month. And it's, you know, we advertise that for working copywriters, for people who are like in their career and want to get a boost or are ready to invest in themselves for like their secret stuff, not for beginners who need to learn the basics. Go and watch the mega course and stuff like that. But as long as you're on the copy that email list, you know, that occasionally we open it up and we'll tell people when there are spots, but you have to apply. You can't just join, because we've rejected quite a few people from it who are beginners, you know, or who we feel cannot afford it comfortably. So you said you have to use the right AI software. Do you mean GPT and Claude? Those are examples of software. Yeah, I'm not saying you use those ones specifically, although I do use Claude. How often do you find yourself in need of a production rather than AI? Do you do a lot of it for creative, or do you not do that much shooting and dealing with videography stuff, especially? Yeah, really good question. So it's definitely useful to have a way to produce actual content, which is, again, some of the stuff we're going to be talking about in the live event. But like, I would say it's probably still like 65-70% real stuff. I think that will reduce slightly. I feel like for most brands, it's usually mostly going to be real stuff forever, just because like it's actually kind of like easier to talk to a human than to prompt sometimes. But it depends on the brands. I know brands who are doing literally 100% AI and they're still profiting. But we're going to talk about how to produce stuff even when you can't use AI. Well, we're going to talk about that. There you go. Sean said he obviously, you know, I'm the one who gets to like make all this content and do the fun stuff and do the recording. Sean's the one actually making all this work for you guys. He's the one who's setting up the email software for everyone so they can get this stuff. Sean has said the training sessions will be recorded, so the individual ones we're sending, but they won't be available after the webinar is over. So if you want to see all these, you have to actually go through these lessons and then attend the live event. You have to do that. Will you show a step-by-step format in the event about how to use AI and create creatives? Like, we're going to go through it. It's not going to be like hyper step-by-step, because again, like, you know, I don't know how much you guys know, but like this stuff, everything we're going to go through, like it would take me literally dozens of hours to go through everything step by step. I'm building a whole agency about this. We have a shit ton of SOPs. So it would take ages. I'm going to talk to you about the most important stuff, the principles, a few specific actionable pieces of advice and tips you can go away and do that are the most effective. And I'm going to show you how to learn about the rest of it. How does this vary from current creative strategy or creative strategy roles? Is this more focused on meta ads with the update? Essentially, yes. Like this is more focused for making sure we can get past Andromeda and stuff. I'm gonna have to skip through some of these questions. I'm gonna see like if there's okay. Aaron said it will likely be paid after. So yeah, if you miss this like free training thing, we'll then charge for it. Again, it's one thing we like to do. We'll give it to you for free. We'll always give that opportunity, but we still need to make money. We need to pay for people like Aaron. We need to pay for people like Nicole and Noah, the people who edit our videos and make the brand keep running so we can produce more free content. So we're giving the opportunity to do it for free, but after that, it's probably going to become paid. So if you want to do it, definitely attend. Because unfortunately, we just need to keep the business going. As we explained in the last video, we're really busy right now. There's a reason I'm doing this in the evening, and I had to rush to get this finished. Do you think the fact that you're handsome and confident helps with closing clients? Dan Lion, I appreciate that, first of all. Thank you very much. That's a nice boost to my ego. Genuinely, and not to talk about like me and be a dickhead who goes, yeah, I am handsome. But genuinely, I think the better you can present yourself, the more confidently you can speak, the more likely you are to be able to get clients. Like that's just true. And we talk about in the mega course, we talk about how, this isn't really a career for introverts. A lot of people say copywriting is a career for introverts. You can just get paid by writing. And there are ways you can do it. There are definitely ways you can do it, but it's a hell of a lot harder than if you're prepared to get on and be confident and present yourself nicely. Already watched my course and the research method actually works better than it first seems to me. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. The landing page colors are so sleek and nice. I really like how it's laid out as well. That's all to do. That's Kaylee. So thank Kaylee for that again. We have to pay her to do these things. So thank you so much, Kaylee. There's a reason that copy that's quality is getting higher and our production value is getting better. The more shit we can sell because we can pay people to do things that are better. Okay. Responsibilities of typical creative strategist. We're going to talk about that in the live call. So make sure you're there for that. I'm gonna try and like skip through some of these. We will touch on that for sure. Like that will kind of be answered just throughout. If someone can't find clients, is it because they suck most of the time? It completely depends. Like usually it's just because they're not putting enough effort into their outreach, or their outreach is not of high enough quality and they need to understand more about outreach and about copy, by extension. Is it easier to integrate into creative strategy compared to ready copywriting? I've seen some job posts that simply asking for samples like video measure. I'm actually going to say yes. I'm going to put my reputation on the line and say yes, it's easier to get a creative strategist job than it is to get a copywriting job. Like I said this the other day, like I have had 100 ecom brands in the past like year. And bear in mind, I don't really strike up these conversations with, it's probably actually more than that, but like I've had at least 100 ecom brands in the last year ask me if I could refer them a creative strategist. I've had about 20 ask for a copywriter. So take from that what you will. Okay, yeah, guys, I'm gonna start ignoring the questions where like we answer them in the mega course. So if I don't answer your question, it's because we talk about it in the mega course. You're welcome. We do talk about AI in some things. We might eventually do a course all about AI, but really what we're doing is weaving AI into everything we're producing. Like in terms of the courses we're producing, we're saying, oh, here's how you'd use AI for this thing. Third time. We talk about this elsewhere. We've got live streams on the channel where we talk about this. How do we find or identify businesses that have the budget and actually knowledge of the impact of creative strategy? They'd be ideal clients for this. Yeah, definitely. We will talk about this in the webinar, but like for now, just using Facebook ad library, using something like even just like foreplay.co on the Meta ads library, and just going about, I used to like store leads for e-commerce as well. You can just immediately see all the brands who are running ads or not running ads. Just go there. You've just got to go to where they already are existing and where you can see all this stuff in one place. Yeah, it's pretty simple, but you can use the intermittent niching technique we talk about in the mega course just as effectively for this. Even though this is creative strategy, it's no different to copywriting in the sense of like how you would go and find people. Okay, I've answered that. Answered that. We will talk about that. I can't get into that right now because that's going to require visuals, but we will get into that in the webinar. Yes. How else would you do it? Everyone needs to start without experience. We talk about this in the mega course. For a beginning, focus now on the mega course to be prepared to the launchpad is a better way to start. Just watch both. When this launchpad stuff happens, just watch it. No, it's going to be sold. We know that now. Afterwards, so you have to attend live if you want it for free, because we need to survive as a business. Does a creative strategist do media buyers work? So media buying, and I'm gonna get slated by some people here for saying this, but I have seen this. Bearing in mind I work with dozens of ecom businesses. Media buyers, I think, are going to become extinct in the next kind of couple of years, is my guess. I know brands that are firing their media buyers who are just not rehiring media buyers when they leave because the algorithm is getting better and better at placement. Like, I kind of see it continuing to go that way. So you might have the media buying role kind of sucked up into creative strategy because it's just fucking putting ads on, or just an admin person doing that and that being part of their range of things to do. So it's important to understand like the principles of media buying, but not like the technical side of it, at least in my opinion. Top books every creative strategist and trainer should read. Well, I have never read a book specifically for creative strategy, so I would say just go to the copywriting books that we recommend, which we talk about in other videos. To be honest, I should probably read some more books about like visual hierarchy and things, because I already have a decent understanding of what it should look like in ads. But I imagine I'd probably get more benefit out of reading those. What's the difference between a creative strategist and an art director? Fucking, I don't know. I don't really know what an art director does, to be completely honest with you. Tune in a bit late. How has learning creative strategy increased opportunities improve your career as a copywriter? Hugely, 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 hugely. Like, again, I've been doing this for like 9 years now, and it's funny because I didn't really like put two and two together for a very long time. But like, one of the reasons I would get clients more easily, and I have spoken about this, but like, because when I would go to a business, I would say, hey, I want to have a go at improving your ads. Hey, can I have a crack at doing that? I would just be like, I just want to have a go at improving everything, and then I would do that stuff. And creative strategy is obviously a big part that people care about, so it worked. Oh my god, I'm not getting close to the end of these comments, am I? Okay, I've answered that in the mega course. Aaron's answering that in the chat, so thank you, Aaron. Do you have an opinion on the AY trainings? I'll be honest, I have not been through them. So like, you know, I think I might have read a couple of books, but you know, founded by Michael Masterson, aka Mark Ford, who's fantastic. So, you know, like I have a lot of trust in them. And I know someone whom I hired, who is now my head of health marketing in my agency, he started with AWA's courses. So, you know, so he learned that good enough for me to hire him. So they must be doing something right. Hey, Alex, I've seen the MC Masterclass. So for the next step, find copy and study and rewrite and, make a course. And learn the ways with Masterclass learnings. Yeah, exactly. A brand offered me 1,500 USD plus 250 to 500 performance bonus for every creative that scales past 10K a month. Fair deal. It's my first. Dude, if it's your first client, go for it. I'm not even going to say whether that's a good deal or not. Just start. If you can, because the minute you have a client, it makes getting more clients so much easier. So I would definitely just say, just go for it. That's my mentality. It's how I was when I was starting out, and it really helped me. But you know, that's okay. Like, it depends where you're based in the world, depends how much work you're going to end up doing. But as a starting point, you know, it's decent. It's nice they're giving you an incentive. It's actually something I recommend to all the e-com stores I work with, is I say, give your creative strategists an incentive. So yeah, good work, man. Very good work. Or woman. Or other. Is there a resource to learn marketing strategy after I finish the mega course? We have the EMP, which is like $300 because there's a lot in there, but we also have like a free old live stream, I think, on the YouTube channel all about marketing strategy. So go and have a look there. Honorable mentions for books. Changing the Channel, a tiny bit dated with some of it, but it's still pretty good. Over Deliver by Brian Kurtz, fucking awesome. And then also just go through marketing funnels. Just look at marketing online. Should each new creative that we put out have its own unique body copy? For example, I put out 5 UGC ads. Should each one have different ad copy? Will that improve the ad and the eyes meta? So that's actually a really, really good question. So to save production time, we actually say no, like don't worry about it. You can just have the same like body copy. We haven't seen that negatively affect things. I have an inkling Meta might start to scan it and be like, if they're not already, and put more importance to it. So I don't have a distinct answer for you there because we have not seen it affect things, and we have run as many tests as we can, and it's never seemed to affect things. But some people anecdotally might go, oh yeah, it did change things. In my experience, it hasn't. So I tend to prefer to save the time that it takes. But that's one of the things I think AI would be really good for. Hey, AI, scan this creative and then write, 50 to 100 words of text to advertisers go into primary text, and then give it some parameters and make sure it's different every time. Some primary text is so intrinsically linked with a creative, like it kind of forms part of the narrative that you need to have it, but most, you don't need that. We talk about this in the mega course and stuff like that, but it completely depends on the brand. Will they be added to the Black Friday bundle? No, I don't think so. I don't think we ever promised that, but also again, that's an Aaron Sean question. Should I work as a creative strategist for DC brand that was roasted on Twitter for cloning Huron's branding, and they have comments on TikTok where a UGC actor says he wasn't paid for his work? Fucking, if you are going to try and work for a brand that has a fantastic reputation and is squeaky clean, you're probably always going to be out of work. There's no brand that has a good reputation. You're always going to find bad reviews. You're going to find controversies. You're going to find, even in this chat, like earlier, I mean, I didn't see the comments, but like I saw the end of it. It seems like someone was trolling, apparently. It's like, we're literally giving shit away for free in a video titled Creative Strategy 101, trying to give people the basics, and they're complaining or trolling. So unfortunately, it doesn't really matter where you are. There's going to be people who talk shit about you. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. More money for Aaron. Our boy needs more timepieces. That's true. Again, a reason we have to sell things now is to pay him so he can eat Rolexes or whatever he does with them. Jesus Christ. Okay, I think I'm getting slowly glazer. That's a good question. Like the EMP kind of goes into that, and my ecom adventure definitely goes into that. Which I don't know where that is. I don't know if we even sell that anymore anywhere. I might have to ask Aaron for that to tell you about that. But yeah, we haven't got anything like explicitly like, oh, this is the masterclass about GTM strategy, but it's something, we're going to be making all of this shit now that we're going to be spending more time on copy that. Yeah, this recording is going to be available. This recording. So you're going to be able to see this again. But the 4 days, they're not going to be available after the fact. Like they're going to be, or you're going to have to pay for them. Will this info video be available after the live ends? Again, we'll repost this. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Very, very true. How can a creative strategist differentiate what creates a top funnel and bottom funnel? A brand offered me 250 for bottom funnel. It depends. Okay. I don't really subscribe to the whole top of funnel, bottom of funnel thing. Like, I've seen so many. We'll talk, this is too big right now to get into right now, but like we'll talk about this in the webinar. But like, I don't subscribe to it. It's more a case of you just give as many different fucking ideas as possible, which we're going to talk about on the webinar, and then see how they come back. You don't really need to worry about like, oh, these are top funnel, these are bottom funnel, these are middle of funnel. Some people swear by that and say it works really well. My experience, it's better to think about it in a different way, which we're going to talk about. But like, fucking the differentiation is just, are you targeting someone who hasn't heard of the brand before versus are you targeting someone who knows the brand or knows the product? The ads that we'll be discussing in the training are specifically for Meta. So Meta is like the focus because it's where the biggest kind of, opportunities lie at the moment. It's what most brands really care about. But you're going to be able to use this for any creative platform. It's all the same principles. It's just like good copy. Good copy is good copy everywhere. Same with this. You said you'll be building an agency for creative strategy. Can we create a few spec pieces and reach out to you? I am not, the whole point of my agency is I'm not trying to take on too many creative strategists because we want to do as much work with as few people as possible. So like I'm not currently accepting applications. I appreciate the thought though. Do you see creative strategies long-term career path? Absolutely. What can we offer them in normies terms? I'm not sure what this means. I don't even think this was directed at me. This is going to be re-uploaded onto YouTube. I'm sure Aaron probably said that. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. I mean, based on the current climate and media buying going extinct, Stefan Georgie predicts all marketing will be automated before 2027. I would bet him $1 million that it won't be. And I would probably massively win that bet. No, it's not going to be. A lot of marketing is going to be automated, of course. All marketing, no way. No, all marketing, it's never going to be fully automated because ultimately you're still going to need that novel approach of a human and someone to actually make sure the automations are working properly. You know, want to know about your point of view on productivity? Like, how can one put all his energy on a task for a long daily? I don't know if I have the energy to talk about this right now, which is kind of ironic. You know, a lot of what the fuck's it called? Personal development. A lot of personal development people really don't like me because like I am very cynical and I shit over a lot of their ideas, and ultimately, like, you know, I feel bad saying this, but I think you just have to fucking nut up and do it. Just do shit. If something is that important to you, you will do it. And I think that comes from discipline. I think that comes from finding the deeper reason of why you're wanting to do this. Is creative strategy most in demand for ecom or info coaches? In my world, ecom, like info coaches are definitely asking for it as well. And I'm sure people are making loads. I mean, I do have a couple of info coaches that I do stuff with, but primarily 80-90% of what I'm doing is for ecom. Okay, I'm not going to answer that because we're going to be talking about that. We're talking about that. We've answered that before. Not going to talk about that. That's too specific. Or not specific enough. Sorry, too vague. If you plan on working in-house / agency for experience and networking, should you also do cold outreach or to freelance on the side? If you can handle it all, go for it. But I would say try and like get good at one thing first before moving on to other things. Just make sure you're doing it properly and you're following the mega course. We're going to talk about portfolio another time. We have a free 36-hour course at Help. Is that true, Aaron? Is it 36 hours now with the new stuff? That can't be true. Is that true? Let me know if that's true. In your experience, is it viable to be hired strictly as a creative strategist, building the system, running the ads, and optimizing hooks without offering media buying and video editing and other stuff? Yes, 100%. It's literally what we're hired for right now as an agency. Most creative strategists that I work with don't do the video editing and stuff themselves. I want to be teaching and showing people how to do that if they want to, but also it means they can slot into teams where other people are doing that really easily. So 100% viable to just be hired as a creative strategist. Is the $50 Patreon subscription the same as the $22? Is the 51 still even available? Honestly, I can't remember. We're changing so many of our offers at the moment to make it like more fair and stuff. So I don't actually know. Maybe Aaron can answer that. Have you and Henry Cavill gotten together for a Warhammer 40K session? I wish. I would love to. I would love to meet Henry Cavill and play Warhammer with him, but the call has not come in. Weirdly enough, No One to Be Homeless is a great movie as well. Yeah. I'm sure all of it, but what are the go-to videos in the EMP? Missing Piece of the Puzzle, number one. Funnel hacking, which Lindsay and Sean did. What else is in there that's really good? Those are the two that they go to. I don't, because I am just like going through. I'm going to say all of them, but yeah, those two are the ones that I'm like. If you were just to watch two, I'd probably make it those ones. The metrics doc is really good as well, just to fucking so you can wrap your head around all that stuff. In which live did you talk about geographical locations assigned clients? It was called something like. Was it called something like Third World Copywriting or the Third World Copywriter Conference or something like that? I think it's still up. It may have been taken down. But either way, the mega course does talk about, like, the importance, how you're playing on hard mode if you are living somewhere else and you're trying to work for US businesses or UK businesses. But look in your own country as well. Like, there are still opportunities. We know so many copywriters who are working in India, in Tanzania, who are working in Bangladesh, who are working in Pakistan, who are working in, even other places like that people don't talk about as much, but like in Thailand, in South Africa, in like French Guiana. Like, there are people who are like doing stuff just for their local communities or people within the country, and it's working. So never rule that out. Is the training mostly going to be focused on e-com businesses? Not really. Like, it's applicable to everything. Like, I'll use e-com as some examples, but it's definitely applicable for everything. Do you predict anything further than Andromeda being implemented in the future? Thanks again. Oh, that's a good question. My current prediction for how things are going to pan out on Meta and things is I reckon that they are going to introduce essentially, how like right now you have feeds and you have like, you used to have like, chronological, and then you had like for you. And now it's basically just for you. It's like you can't even fucking go in chronological anymore. It's just, here's the stuff we think you're going to like. I think what they're going to do at some point is they're going to make that even more extreme. And it's going to be a case of you literally just get a recommendations of the content that they think you will like and the ads that they think you'll like. And you will just kind of be more similar to TikTok, just scrolling through, like flicking through post to post at a time. I think Meta's going to go more along that route. And I think that's going to happen in the next few years. Anyway, how do you know which ad agency the brand is using? It's kind of impossible to tell in some cases. Sometimes you can link them back, but I don't really have a surefire way of knowing. I could maybe think about it and try and get a okay way. Okay. Are you still deep into the ecom business? Yes, I am. That is whom I work with. I work with ecom businesses more than anyone else. I take a lot of time writing copy. Any advice? Just practice. It's literally just that. Again, the only correct answer for this is work out how much money you need to survive for the month. Work out how much you would like to ideally earn a month, then work out how much time this project is going to take you, and then just ratio in that range. So then just if it's, if you need like $1,000 to survive, but you would like to be earning $4,000 or $5,000, then that's your range. And if this project can take you half the time that month, you need to charge somewhere between $500 and $2,500. So you can start high up and then be prepared to negotiate down, or you can start further down if you're not as confident. That kind of stuff. Creative strategist portfolio. We're definitely going to talk about portfolio, so don't worry about that. But definitely statics. Statics are a big one. Some AI hooks. You can do hooks really easily. You can also get stock footage for hooks. But we'll talk about that. What are your views on Joanna Weeb? I've never actually known how to pronounce her name. I think it's Weeb. I have a lot of time and a lot of good things to say about Copy Hackers and Joanna Weeb, because their resources very early on in my career, like very early on, like the first year, their free resources really helped me kind of wrap my head around a lot of stuff of copywriting. I haven't looked at a lot of their stuff recently. Like, I've seen some bits that people have sent me, and like I don't necessarily agree with a lot of it. And this stuff that when I was a beginner, I kind of followed and I was like, oh, that's really, and then I kind of realized, oh, actually, that's not the best way to think about it. So I don't necessarily agree with their entire system or all their principles of like copy, but I think they've put a hell of a lot of free content out over the years, and they've helped a lot of people do really well. And I think that, most of their stuff is good to learn from. I don't know. I've never met Joanna Weeb personally. I know people who have had conversations with her and have been in her inner circle stuff, but I have not met her personally, so I can't speak to her as a person. But I have a lot of time for Copy Hackers because they helped me very early on in my career. Okay. Do you go on holidays or no? I actually don't. I'm going to America to film a recent thing, which I was there a few weeks ago with Aaron and the team. That was my holiday. That was me, and that was work. That was just 1 week of solid filming, like fucking 20, 30 hours of filming, however long it was. So, you know, so like, not really. I want to, but there's too much going on right now. What have you learned from befriending Mark Ford? Hell of a lot. He's awesome. He's really cool. He's such a cool dude. It's weird to call him a dude. He's a very cool man. Yeah, he really helped me when I went to see him in America this time. And I've kind of been, one thing I've been struggling with recently, just very heart to heart, very real with you guys. I've been struggling with how to like frame my own personal brand, because to be honest with you, I have 9 years of experience now, since I started doing stuff in marketing. And I have made a shit ton of money. I've, generated like $300 million. I've worked with some massive brands. I have had millions of views on my resources. I have like created new systems that whole businesses are using and whole schools of people are now using. And I have had quite a big impact. And like, I've always been very bad about talking about that because it feels like boasting and it's very anti, like, I don't really like doing it. But recently I'm like, okay, I need to actually try and work on a personal brand now. Like now, 9 years later, I got to think about getting myself out there a bit more, start putting myself in those circles where it's just like, oh, become a bit of a name. I don't need to do that, but because of Copy That and because of the relationships we have and the affiliate stuff that we do, it's just better for the businesses that I'm part of for me to do that. So I've been struggling with that recently. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. And I was like, Alex Myatt. I was like, I don't want to make Alex Myatt the thing. But then Mark Ford, story time, completely off of creative strategy, but it's really useful. I sat down with Mark Ford and I basically asked him that. I said, look, I don't know how to brand myself. I've never done this. And he basically just said, he was like, listen, I'm not going to do the accent, but he was smoking a cigar, drinking some whiskey at the time. This is true. And he was just like, listen, he said, no one cares about Alex Myatt. He's like, no one cares about Mark Ford. He's like, they don't care about us. They care about what you can do for them. So sell the system. The system is what matters. And that to me was just like, fucking hell, that's so eye-opening. Because I'm like, I knew that. Like, it was in my head of like, oh, what's in it for me? And like, you have to communicate to them. But because it's like personal brand, I had all these preconceptions of like, oh, I have to make myself, big and I have to present myself in this way. And he was like, no. It's X system by Alex Myatt, just like Ready, Fire, Aim by Mark Ford, or the AY system by Michael Masterson, that kind of stuff. And I was like, fuck. I was like, and I just didn't think of it in that way. And I love systems. I'm obsessed with them. I'm obsessed with building systems. I genuinely, I say that systems are the reason I've made so much money, but I never thought of it like that. So that was really useful. And that ended up, being, and I'll just share screen really quick. Like, my new website, which I mean, okay, yeah, like I don't like the image, but this is what I mean about personal branding. I'm having to be a bit more like, yeah, look at me, I'm professional and cool. Anyway, but like, which I think I shared that. I've shared it. Okay. So now, like, I'm pushing the DNA growth system, which is like basically, because I already had a system for all my marketing stuff. I just hadn't like named it, Like, I had all this stuff and I kind of called it the growth engine marketing system in my head and like stuff like that. And I always refer to it as an engine personally, but like I'd never actually named it and thought about how do I frame this. So now like I have the DNA growth system and it's like, fuck, this, like, it makes so much sense. So this is now what I'm pushing. And then for creative strategy, I have the creative engine system. The creative engine system is like, what the thing I go in and build for clients is what these people are paying me loads of money for. That might genuinely be something that we end up, if people want to buy something from us, from this, from this thing, after the webinar, like that will be the thing. It'll be like, fucking, if you want to know the intricacies of this entire fucking system that I have spent years developing, okay, you can learn this, but you're going to have to pay me and you're going to have to pay attention because it's fucking very, very nuanced and there's a lot to it. But again, the training that we're going to be doing, of course, is more high level than that. So don't worry, you don't need to know that. But yeah, so like I framed it as the system and like I now kind of talk about all the stuff I've done and like I've kind of put like, oh, what do I actually give a shit about? Talking about my achievements, who I've done stuff for. I've actually started like a newsletter called the newsletter stuff. And this, my website for ages was just shit. And like, I don't want you to look at this as a beginner and go, oh, I need a website. Because you don't. I've had a website for ages, but like it was not good and I never used it. I never shared it anywhere. I just got alexmyatt.com. Whereas this actually now is like, I'm like, oh, this actually makes me feel like a thought leader, which is a bit weird, but it's ultimately, it's good for copy that. It's good for, it's good for Camcom, which is obviously my, this is the agency that I'm building in the UK. So we've got so you guys can go here and you can have a look about creative strategy. You can see the system I built and you can see the stuff I talk about it with, and and you can see how huge all of this is, so this is what we go in and build for the specific clients. But and of course, you guys who are watching this live, other people aren't going to see this. We're not going to talk about this. So anyway, so that's what I learned from Mark Ford. I learned so much from him, but that was definitely a big thing recently that was really useful. If you want to go in-house agency with the intent of eventually freelancing with ecom brands, and it makes sense to get a job in ecom, right? Yeah, that does make sense. At dinner time in England, pretty much it's 8:15 p.m. So I haven't eaten yet, so I probably will go. I have shit to finish after this, but I probably will eat after this, after I finished. 3 days training will be live at the same time, 2 p.m. EST. No, the 3 days training beforehand will just be sent in an email. It'll just be sent like one email, then another email, then another email. We might send them out at 2 p.m., but like they're not like live. You don't need to join anything. You're just going to get them recorded. Answered that. How to start looking at the sort of ads ecom brands run, where to look for these ecom brands. You just go to the Facebook ad library, just Google Facebook ad library, type in any brand name you want, and then have a look at the ads they're running. Or foreplay.co, which is a system where you can spawn stuff. Did you work with dropshippers at the start of your career? Or yeah, I did. I worked with loads of dropshippers. Dropshipping, like it's a business, it's a logistics model. Okay, like so. Yes, I have worked with many. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. Very true. I have 11 years of experience in customer service. I've used copywriting in a way to convert customers to clients thanks to that, but I don't know how to scale. I like to face the customer. I mean, the fact you like to face a customer is fantastic. What you need to scale is systems. Break everything down. I should do a whole course about this at some point because, again, it's another thing I really enjoy, but like break everything down into what actually has to happen for you to complete a piece of work, and then ask the questions, could any of those things be automated, made faster with AI, or anything like that? And that's how you need to build systems, automate them, and that's how you scale up. It's the only way. You can't keep just trading your time for money. You have to ultimately get paid multiple times for every hour you work if you want to go that way, or you have to make your time that you spend more efficient so you can take on more money by trading more time. What makes you driven? I mean, you've made a shit ton of money. You could just retire, but you're still here working your ass off. Fucking dude, I could not retire. Like this is, I think this is a misconception about getting rich. I guess I could retire in the sense of like I could just stop paying for a load of shit. But like I pay, I spend tens of thousands of dollars every single month just to like live, to fund businesses, to look after family, and and projects that I fund. So like the rich you become, in my experience anyway, there tends to be the more responsibilities you have and you take on. So I'm continually driven to keep working because it means I can support more people, I can do more good, and also like I couldn't just stop. If I stopped, like the people who need to get paid, they wouldn't get paid. The people who I'm looking after would cease to be looked after. So like that's why I continue to be driven. I care about you, Alex. Thank you. And the system and the future opportunity you'll give me to write for CT, but I still care for you. Don't forget the other things. I'll send you a message on Discord. Okay. Not actually fully sure what this is referring to, but okay. Remind me, because like there's a lot of messages on Discord that I have not answered yet. What do you mean by system? Any example? Probably it it doesn't have to be a system. It could be a blueprint or a formula or a roadmap. It has to be a tangible thing that you can name. I actually did a whole training to Mark Ford about this in America. And after I'd finished my training, my presentation, he actually said to me, it was really good. He was like, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. And I was like, fuck. It's like, damn, Mark Ford just said that to me. That's awesome. So yeah, it's just a named tangible thing that, that like it contains within it components essentially that you can point to and say, hey, I'm going to use my system to achieve this result for you. That's what it means. Who built your website? It was someone I employ at my agency, a guy called Kyle. I've been working with Kyle since I started all this. In my first agency, like 7, 8 years ago. So, not quite since I fully started, but yeah, like for most of the time. Yeah, that's not a bad thing at all. Do what people are asking you to do. Sure. Is it coded? No, I think it's just Elemental. I think he might use some, what's it called? Some custom code, some HTML, but like it's just Elemental on WordPress. So yeah, Elemental WordPress. Can I scale into customer service facing role, or do I have to work directly into just copywriting? You could scale into whatever. If you're providing value for someone, providing a service a business needs, you can fucking do it. Subscribe to your boldest image. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. What should you do whenever you feel lost? Oh, Jesus, that's a heavy question. Go back to the basics. Go back to the mega course. Go back to the thing that those guidelines are already there for you, and just ask yourself, have I done each step? And if you have, brilliant, do the next one. If you haven't, go back and do that. I think you should have to return to that baseline, you know? What are your thoughts on email marketing and offering that as a service to small businesses? Just one thing I'm doing with curious thoughts. Yeah, it works. I used to do that. I would try and take on as much for them as you can. But if you're going to small businesses saying, hey, I want to get you more appointments, or I want to help you sell more products, I'm going to do this, this, and this for you because I know that this can work. Great. Do you get hours of sleep or no? Nope. Also, it's just go to alexmyatt.com and go all the way down to the bottom. I tend to I'm trying to do it more frequently. How can I start a DC brand with $500 and what legalities do I have to? That's way too big a question for me to start getting into now, I'm afraid. I will try and do that at some point because I would really like to. Yeah, it's also just a really hard it's also just a really hard question to answer because like there's so many ways you could take that. The ecom adventure course that I did, that was really useful. Kyle Milligan. I'm not sure why Kyle Milligan has been mentioned, but yes, I like Kyle Milligan. He's awesome. His book, Take Their Money, was the first. I actually can't remember if it was the very first or if I read Scientific Advertising first. I can't actually remember now. I used to know, but one of those two were my first. But Take the Money was one of my first books I ever read on copywriting, and it was phenomenal. It just completely switched the way I was thinking about words and writing and what it means to be a writer. It was great. So yeah, I like Carl Milligan. He's also just a fucking awesome guy. We've hung out a few times now. He's great. Combine both. Dude, like, you're literally saying, like, is there value in a customer-facing role? 100%. People love other people, especially in the age of AI. So, like, most people have the exact opposite problem for you. They don't want to talk to people. I can't kind of go into this too much right now. I'm gonna have to like stop this stream in a minute. I'm gonna try and get to the bottom of this. What's the boldest measure you've taken? Oh my god. Fucking loads of shit. Letting go of clients who were like paying for most of my livelihood because I got fed up, leaving my job, leaving my 9 to 5, starting agencies when I didn't have the funds to, or like overhiring because I believed in people. Like there's loads of shit. The boldest measures, by the way, comes from that dude right there, back there, Horatio Nelson, who said the boldest measures are often the safest, and I agree with that. I think that if you want to play things safe, often the best way to do that is to be direct and to be simple and to be bold. Okay, I can't answer that. That's going to take me too much stuff. I hire someone else to do it. Is the I have a good ops team, Emily, and I have kind of a right-hand person, Nicole, who like helps run the business, which is really nice. So like, yeah, I hire people. Do you have other businesses except ecom and marketing? Yes, but not ones I'm willing to discuss. When writing emails for ecom, okay, I can't do that right now. Oh, that's why he typed Kyle Milligan. No, Kyle Milligan did not build my website for me. No, Kyle, another Kyle. I won't mention his last name because I don't know if he wants me to. But yeah, yeah, not Kyle Milligan. Okay, cool. How did you know you're ready to quit your 9 to 5? Because I literally could not stand another second there. But to be fair, that time I did wait until I was earning basically more from copywriting than in my 9 to 5 because I was worried. Wow, it's 2 hours on your feet and giving value without being bothered. So much discipline and hard work. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Katie. It's I enjoy this stuff though. I really like it. I like helping. It's just fun. Okay. Reading No Man's Niche. Any additional thoughts to add to it? Nothing apart from listen to it because I am literally building a whole wing of my agency around No Man's Niche. So like it still works. It's still really good. Yeah. Ever considered Warhammer 40k business? I did actually apply to Games Workshop once when they wanted a copywriter or a brand manager or something like that when I was really underqualified. And obviously I didn't even get an email back, but I would love to work for some kind of Warhammer 40k business at some point or start my own. We'll see. What's your thoughts on email marketing for DC e-commerce brands? Good. Do it. It's one of the easiest ways to make money as a brand. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Boom. All right, guys, I've just got to the end of the thing. So I'm going to stop answering questions now. Sorry if you're typing. I just need to leave. Remember, anyone who is here, if you haven't yet, click the link in the description below. Sign up for this free training. It's going to culminate with this webinar. We'll see if there's something on the other side of that to kind of offer to the people who are most keen and have want the experience to kind of build this whole system themselves. But ultimately, the 3 training days and the webinar at the end are going to give you those actionable steps to make sure you can go out and start making money from this, either as a marketer or as a business owner who can start making creative strategy work in 2026. So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. I need to now build it. I've got a skeleton plan for what it's going to be. I now need to go and get all the examples and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not actually been finished yet. All right, guys, thank you so much. Aaron, thank you very much for moderating the chat. Appreciate it massively. And also just shout out to the rest of the Copy That team who, again, like I said, the reason we're changing the business model a little bit and offering kind of higher ticket stuff for people who are experienced, etc., is because we love this community. We love you guys. And even if you're watching us for the first time, we love you. And we love our team. You know, shout out to literally everyone, to Nicole, to Noah, to Kaylee, to Sean, to Lindsay, to Rod, I guess to myself as well. And of course to Aaron, and everyone else who helps, like on the fringes, on the sidelines. They're all awesome. And yeah, just thank you guys for like watching and supporting. It's only their hard work and you guys supporting us with, you don't even have to buy anything from us, just with free views. Like, this just helps us. This encourages us to come back and do more, to produce more free stuff for you. Really love it. So thank you very much. Okay, cool. Right, guys, I'm going to end the stream there. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Make sure you've hit the link in the description below to sign up. And everyone join the Discord if you can. We do have so much fun. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for joining today. Let's go make some money with creative strategy. All right, bye-bye.